Cashew King's $8 meal kit.
Hi, my name is Eddie Santos. I'm a retired Army Sergeant with more than 23 years, and I am a disabled vet. I've been all over the place trying to get assistance for my disability. And as for right now, the only person that seemed to help me out was when I went to the congressman's office, tried to get some assistance for him to help me get my prosthetic leg fixed. So finally the congressman had me the opportunity to go to Palo Alto in San Jose, California, where they finally fixed my prosthetic. If you need help and you seem to not get it anywhere, you should go see our congressman with the people he has there to help us veterans get what we need and what we deserve for doing our time in service for the freedom of our island and for our country.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
Feel that this environment is for anybody that wants to try something new, whether it is CrossFit or powerlifting. We offer a safe space for someone who's never been athletically inclined to try something that they've never done before.
Are you relocating, behind on your mortgage, have unwanted property, or can't make the needed repairs? Whatever your situation is, we have a solution for you. We buy houses any reason, any condition. We pay cash and close quickly. Don't stress. Sell your house the easy way with Guam House Heroes. Call us at 646-5793. Email us at contact@guamhh.com or visit the website guamhh.com.
Buenas Marianas and Micronesia. I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Rosario.
Welcome to this wonderful, beautiful Tuesday. It was raining just a little bit ago, but now I see outside our windows here on the 7th floor of the D&A building. It is a bright and beautiful day, and it is ripe for this. This smells like pumpkin pie.
It does.
This is from Ignite. So this is a prototype, or this is a beta. Tomorrow, Ignite is going to start selling their pumpkin bowl, and this is the pumpkin bowl. I haven't tried it yet, but as soon as I opened it up, it smelled delicious. Johnny has the power bowl. And so today is one of our CrossFit days where Johnny and I are going to go to CrossFit Hita. And one of the things that Coach Grace told us, she's the powerlifting coach, she told us on Saturday was to eat for energy. And I was like, you mean I can eat? and still like look good. And she was like, yeah, you have to eat. And I was like, I like this place. I like this CrossFit Hita and this Coach Grace. So let me just try it, because I know some of you don't have the constitution to watch me eat. So I'll just like do like a bite and I'll tell you if it's good.
There's goji berries, there's blueberries, there's
good.
Walnuts,
Honestly,
pecans.
Honestly, I thought it wasn't going to be good as a pumpkin bowl, but it actually really is good.
Yeah.
Hold
I'll
on.
try that next time.
Hold on.
Are you really covering your mouth?
Because some people are sensitive about it.
And?
So Kandit has been, we're growing, right? We got all the commercials. Thank you to our advertisers, of course, and thank you to all of you who have made us who we are. And one thing we've struggled with is identity. No, I shouldn't say struggle. Let me just, so we used to cuss all the time. We don't do that anymore. We used to talk smack about people. Now we do it in a way where it's delivered with the news.
We do it professionally.
We do it semi-professionally. We also used to be harder on the Guam administration. We've been consistently tough on the Torres administration in the CNMI. And yesterday, today's show is dedicated to a true blue from the jump was with us, George Delgado.
Yes. Hi, George.
Who reminded me last night in a post that hurt my feelings that we have not been tough on the Leon Guerrero administration. And I wanted to get mad at George's assertion, but I couldn't, because George is right. We've spent so much time and energy cracking down on issues of corruption in the CNMI. And we will continue to do that. We're not going to dial back from that. We're just going to work harder at trying to hold our own government of Guam officials accountable for their missteps and their misdeeds. And today is the start of this. We have brought in studio, in the back of our studios, waiting to be brought on, is Senator Frank Blas Jr. Because the senator had the foresight, or actually had the courage, to press the issue of alleged corruption within the Leon Guerrero administration and ask the Attorney General to do something about it. We'll talk to him about that in just a few minutes. But first, there is a weather system brewing to the east of Guam. The National Weather Service thought it's something to post something about it today. And so we're going to talk to Landon Aydlett from the National Weather Service about what this is, whether we have to worry about it, when we have to start worrying, and all that stuff. And yeah, let's see what he has to say. William Shadone says, "Nah, my friends, love your eating while doing the news. It's better to keep it real." Jacob Nakamura says, "No." Oh, hi, Landon. This is Troy.
Hey, good afternoon, Troy.
Good afternoon. And Johnny's here with me, and you're live with Kandit Land.
Hi, Landon.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you both doing?
Great.
We're cool. We're just snacking on our Ignite Power Bowl and Pumpkin Bowl and enjoying the sunny skies right now. How long are these sunny skies going to last? It was raining a little bit earlier. What's going on with the weather?
Beautiful day. We actually have a little impulse of showers and thunderstorms moving right across the island. I was teleworking from the house this morning with the windows closed to my office. And I walk outside and the clouds and showers are coming over. So that's going to be clearing out gradually from northeast to southwest. And there's another little impulse of energy right about 148 degrees east longitude that's sitting east of us. That'll probably be coming in through the overnight hours, bringing more showers, maybe isolated thunderstorms tonight. But what we're really watching is a large area of showers and thunderstorms across Micronesia, particularly Chuk State and Pohnpei State. There's a circulation that has been making its round on social media and the news outlets, like right here, right now. That's the Invest Area 99W that we are watching, and that's centered a little while ago around 10.1 north, 153 east.
Okay.
And so this is a tricky little system because of its proximity close to us, just to our southeast, and where it's going to be going over the next couple days. So there's a lot of uncertainties between the different forecast models as far as different forecast scenarios that these things are depicting, as well as impacts that we can expect for the Mariana Islands. most models are focusing more on a broader circulation that's going to keep weak and pass south of Guam sometime Thursday and Friday. But then there's another model, the American GFS model. That's the most aggressive with developing a situation or a circulation passing through the Mariana Islands somewhere near Tinian and Saipan late Thursday or Friday morning as a tropical system of some intensity. So this is the lone model that has that scenario, but it's something that we have to watch because I like to have all the possibilities on the table when it comes to communicating possible weather threats to the region.
Okay. And you know, in the track that you have for the GFS model, how far south and how far north can that track go according to the GFS model?
Definitely in these formative stages, there can be significant variations every 6 hours every time this forecast model is run. So that's the 0 Z hour, roughly. I can't translate the time on the spot right now, but it's on 0Z, 6Z, 12Z, and 18Z. We have these forecast models run out with the newest up-to-date forecast. And so every 6 hours, each new forecast has more observations, more data going into these model runs, and it spits out the best case forecast based on the available data. So every model has its own scenario that it outputs for a forecast. And so we take in all these various scenarios. And the GFS, that puts a tropical system around possibly a tropical depression or a tropical storm through Tinian and Saipan Thursday night, early Friday morning, and then has it intensifying into a typhoon as it moves away from the Mariana Islands to the northwest. But it's part of an elongated trough, and that's what we're watching right now in this formative phase. We have an east-west oriented elongated trough, and this thing's going to be whipping up over the Mariana Islands Thursday, Friday. So at the least, we won't be seeing gusty winds, showers, and thunderstorms, but it's the extent of how much rain, how strong the wind's going to be. Is the GFS forecast model going to win out with a developing tropical system of the Mariana Islands, or will the other models win out with a broader, weaker circulation passing south of Guam in that time frame? So these are all the things we're considering.
So you mentioned earlier in this conversation a weather system of, I think you said considerable cloud formation near Chuuk and Ponape. On the screen right now, what we have is from the National Weather Service, the Chuuk Loop from the Himawari 8, just a gigantic collection of clouds, actually, that's swirling.
Yes. And that's one thing we like to talk to people about is it does not have to have a name. It does not have to be a tropical storm intensity system or a typhoon to cause major, major problems, especially across the more vulnerable islands across Micronesia. Those are the outer islands, the low-lying atolls, also the steeper elevated mountains with the steep mountain slopes. If they can get significant rainfall with these developing systems, they can have a roll of problems from mudslides to flash floods to hazardous seas and surf and capsizing mariners that are caught off guard. And so we're seeing those conditions right now with this broad, massive showers and thunderstorms. And so a lot of focus, again, is focused on when a system is a tropical storm or a typhoon. It has a name affixed to it. But across Micronesia and these developmental regions, they can cause massive problems. Facebook reminded me just yesterday that back in 2013, we had 12 to 15 inches of rainfall across Guam in a 24-hour period. That was just from a developing tropical disturbance. And so there was significant flash flooding across the island and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That was on September 20th. 2013.
Hey, I remember that.
Was, again,
I remember that.
Disturbance. Yeah, that was a phenomenal day for a weather person. I was getting off work that morning and enjoyed the weather all day. But again, it does not have to be a named storm or typhoon to cause problems. And so that's where we're concerned right now with Chuuk and Pohnpei and the outer islands of those states. Eventually, this is going to come together in some form somewhere. But this area will be coming over the Mariana Islands Thursday and Friday. So we are beefing up our forecast for showers and thunderstorms and bumping up the winds just a little bit. But we're taking more of a conservative approach, as is the case in these developing situations. If we see the trend edging toward the GFS model with that circulation developing on the north of the right-hand side of that elongated trough, we're going to see that intensification with that circulation more for the northern Mariana Islands. And again, that could be as far south as Guam or as far north as Pagan, for example. It's very early in the stage and things are moving slowly. But there's not much time between now and the expected passage of this whole system through the Man Island. So that's a positive and a negative for us, because whatever happens, we have very little time to communicate it and get things in motion. But on the positive side is it can't develop into a monster in such little time.
Okay, well, that's good news then. But Landon, do you think we could talk to you or any of your coworkers tomorrow for an update on what's going on?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can reach me here on my phone. I will be here pretty much through the duration of this. We're going to be going to TC operations. If this thing wants to go TCFA with the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, it goes into a numbered system where it's getting warnings. We're going to be overhauling our operations staffing and hours significantly. So I'll be on watch pretty much now through Friday night.
Thank you so much, Landon. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Troy, and helping us get the word out on this.
No problem at all. Thank you, Landon.
Yep. Have a great afternoon.
You too. That was Landon Aydlett, meteorologist with the National Weather Service on Guam.
If you guys are planning to go hiking this weekend, maybe you should just hold off on that. Yeah.
Slow your roll.
Save it for next weekend.
So we're going to take a commercial break now, and when we come back, we are going to have Senator Frank Blas Jr. sitting with us here in studio to talk to us about holding Governor Lilian Guerrero accountable for the decisions she has made with federal funds when we come back from this short commercial break.
Circuit case, $8 Milton.
Hi, my name is Eddie Santos. I'm a retired Army Sergeant with more than 23 years, and I am a disabled vet. I've been all over the place trying to get assistance for my disability. And as for right now, the only person that seemed to help me out was when I went to the congressman's office, tried to get some assistance for him to help me get my prosthetic leg fixed. So finally the congressman had me the opportunity to go to Palo Alto in San Jose, California, where they finally fixed my prosthetic. If you need help and you seem to not get it anywhere, you should go see our congressman with the people he has there to help us veterans get what we need and what we deserve for doing our time in service for the freedom of our island and for our country.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
Feel that this environment is for anybody that wants to try something new, whether it is CrossFit or powerlifting. We offer a safe space for someone who's never been athletically inclined to try something that they've never done before.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. If you are just joining us, we have with us live in the studio Senator Frank Blas Jr. To talk about Kandit's favorite conversation, corruption. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, we have to say thank you first for... So last year, we were the ones who broke the story about the illegal procurement involving one of the
19th floor.
hotels.
Yeah.
We also broke the 19th floor story.
Yes, we did.
We're very proud of that. And this was at the beginning of the public health emergency. Kandit sounded the alarm about the extraordinary powers of the governor, the how she has carte blanche almost on procurement. And so, the public health emergency moves on and moves along. A lot of things have happened ever since. Things get lost when the number one concern is the medical crisis. What the governor is doing, what the legislature is doing in terms of money, these are just secondary considerations. And we are guilty of forgetting to hold the government accountable.
Well, we kind of said, senators, if you want to have control or help out with the money spending, these are the things that you need to do as senators.
Yes, that's the 35th Guam legislature.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So no one listened to Kandit.
Well, I mean, the Senator Jim Moylan, right, introduced some bills. Speaker at the time, Vice Speaker Therese Terlahi introduced some legislation.
Yeah.
It's just that the legislature as a whole didn't listen. Comes now Senator Frank Blas Jr. in his third letter or second letter to the Attorney General. Third letter to the Attorney General. We receive it in the form of a press release, and we here at Kandit are like, that's right. Nothing has been done to hold the governor and the governor's office accountable for what an audit has already revealed, has validated our point that there was illegal procurement that happened regarding the hotels. And so, Senator, you were the one who brought it up. Why did you bring it up, and what do you hope will happen?
Well, first off, it was pretty obvious. Okay, the audit report when the public auditor B.J. Cruz came out with it. It was servicing on a silver platter, if you will. Okay, prior law enforcement. A lot of times when you get a report of an incident that occurs, one of the things you got is, oh gosh, here we go. I'm going to have to go investigate. This report itself had all the makings of a investigation that had already been conducted, completed, and let's move forward on it.
By the public auditor.
By the public auditor. I like you. Last year I wasn't in the legislature, but I, as a member of the community, thanks to Kandit and a lot. Okay, you brought this issue to light. When I came in, one of the things I wanted to look at, was some of the dealings. Obviously, my background as the Homeland Security Advisor once before, and dealing with FEMA disasters, and recognizing that this was there was some discussion about they're going to get with FEMA so we can see if we can get some reimbursement. I was interested in it, and I also knew that there was an investigation, there was an audit that was being conducted. So what I wanted to do was, okay, I'll wait for the audit for BJ to finish his audit, and once that was done. Took the report and digested it, and hey, we got to move forward on this. And the place for it to move forward on it is with the Office of the Attorney General, the individual who enforces the laws of the land and the laws of the Guam Code Annotated. So it was just a natural fit. It goes from here to here, and I'm sure he received a copy of the report just like everybody else did. And I just wanted to say, hey, I just want to remind you, this report here, it looks like it's ripe. It needs to be investigated. Can you please do this? That was back in July. It's now
and no response.
No response. The only response I got was after my second letter to him, which was I sent about August 6th, if I can recall, saying that we received your letter, and we are actively engaged in, or we're reviewing it.
That's the response we got when we asked about your letter, this third letter. Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
We got the same response.
I gave their office a call, and I spoke to an individual there, and I said, look, what's going on here? And the response that I got back is the Attorney General has yet to decide on, what to do with the matter. And I said, okay, I'll give you a couple of weeks. And that was a couple of weeks ago. And then, true to my word, I wrote the third letter saying, look, are you going to do? When are you going to start to do this? Work on this? And we're waiting. I have not received a response. When I was waiting, I checked to see my email, checked my messages, and no response. Still waiting.
Can this has to go through locally? We can't like send the audit to the federal side of it.
I would imagine you could, because these
Yes,
federal funds were used, so
well, and
would
you know,
rise to the federal level.
It could rise to that federal level, and it should rise to that federal
I
level.
think it's
okay?
time. We're not getting an answer.
And,
Let's do this.
So you know, giving them giving them, you know, again, the opportunity to be able to speak to it. There are discussions, and I am in discussions of the next steps, the next level that should be taken. I mean, should it be? I mean, does it have to be Frank Blas to do this?
Well, someone has to.
Well, exactly. Okay, but because
As we've
it's
seen
there,
time again, someone has to.
and I think, Troy, I think that also we can recognize that I'm sure that the federal government has got a copy of this audit report too. I mean, they want to know just as much as we do how their money was
They
spent.
might be busy with the activities of the 53 other governors of the U.S.
Or they could be waiting for the complaint.
Or
Sure.
they could be waiting for the complaint.
Sure. So we you know, we're looking at the options that we have. Obviously, one of the options is because, yes, you're right, there is mention of the use of federal funding, you know, whether it be from the CARES Act, or many other funding, and FEMA. Okay, the fact of the matter is federal money, and if it has to be investigated and taken to that level, then, you know, I'll do it. But I want to give him that opportunity.
How much longer are you going to give him? And have they mentioned anything about the Attorney General himself walling himself off from this investigation?
I don't know.
Considering who the target of that audit was,
They're best friends, right?
well, allegedly they're
gangs.
very close friends.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Does that require the AG to wall himself off? Is there?
It probably
a conflict of
does, and I
interest?
mean, if that be the case, then he could have easily says, okay, you know, that I'm in the process of appointing a special prosecutor.
Because the target
be
of the
able to do
audit
this.
was not necessarily the governor herself.
No.
And I don't think the audit said that the governor had done anything wrong herself.
Sure.
But her office, people in her office, and someone who was no longer employed there, definitely did things that were, I don't know the correct terminology that the audit uses, but to paraphrase, inappropriate. And not within the confines of the law.
And you know, I mean, again, I've got to believe that there's some credence in, you know, in not just the office of the public auditor, but the public auditor himself. Okay, he's very well versed, obviously, in the laws of Guam. He served as you know, the chief justice of the Supreme Court of Guam. He served as the speaker of the legislature. You know, he wrote many bills. He you know. He's presided over many judicial cases. I'm sure he knows, you know,
What he's doing.
What he's doing, okay? And so for him to sign off on that report and to recognize that there are some discrepancies and it should be moving forward, then, you know, then I want to help to move that through. That said, too, there's also a discussion in that, and I'm going to be having with BJ's. Okay, what powers or what authority should we then provide, or can we provide to the Office of the Public Auditor, so that when you do come upon instances like this, that you have that ability to take it to that next level?
You mean like the powers of the OPA and the CNMI, where the CNMI OPA has the power to bring matters before a court?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay.
Have you had that discussion with BJ?
Yes, we have. I've had it. You know, albeit it was very short.
Okay.
Okay. Remember, if you know BJ, he's famous for his, you know, one-liners or one-word answers. Yes, you know, because I went to him, I said, BJ, wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be much more beneficial for you if we had gave the office this power? Yes, I said, okay, that's good. Here we go. So that's another discussion we have. But going back to this one, and going back to a timeline, I'll give it until the end of the week.
Okay. So at the end of the week, what will you do if you have no response from the Attorney General's office?
I think then maybe I make an appointment to see with the U.S. Attorney as well.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds wonderful to me. Probably sounds wonderful to the U.S. Attorney. Danielle Baza with Kandit is actually working on a story right now and has been researching the matter of funding and retention of staff at the public auditor's office as it relates to his commitment to audit the expenditure of federal coronavirus funds. So obviously he did this hotel audit, right? He took a look at sole source procurement, and he said that his office will be engaging in more. But
He publicly said it.
he publicly said it. He doesn't have the resources for it. So what I understand from Danielle's research is the legislature has increased the OPA's budget by $300,000 from $1.3 to $1.6 million, which the OPA has said in a response to her that that will get them to hire more, get more computers and more resources so that they can accomplish more audits, including more federal audits. The sucky thing, that's how professional we are, the sucky part of the whole thing is that the legislature has not granted the OPA the authority to raise staff wages. They're losing staffers to, ironically, the agencies that they're auditing.
Yeah, I know.
Is this something that your colleagues can...
We're actually stuck between a rock and a hard spot. Remember, okay, I've got a conservative point of view on everything. I had to swallow a very heavy pill with this budget. Okay, I'm very concerned as to whether or not our economy is going to be sustainable, or is going to be that we're going to be able to capture the revenues that we hope to capture just to sustain this budget. Okay, I was very, very, very disappointed that through the media, not through us, not certainly to us, that the governor has stated that she was going to use the federal funding that Guam has been able to receive, okay? And they've reported $3.5 billion. Okay, we're not just talking about the ARP, but all the other federal funding that she received for this pandemic, that she was going to be able to use this to be able to fill some of the gaps. Well, we had discussions for well over a month. As a matter of fact, into those discussions we had, since May, if you can recall, she called us to the table, being the legislature, and says, let's sit down, let's talk about how we can best spend this money. So we went to her in good faith, and we provided her a list of things that we recommend, that we suggest that you should use that money. She said, thank you very much. After that, she says, oh, you know what, I'll decide on how I want to do this and when I want to do this. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay? So we're stuck going back. It's trying to find the money to be able to fund the different places and recognizing where that money is coming from.
Okay. Can I just ask? Because I've been involved in politics for a number of years. We've been coworkers. You've been my boss, right?
Yeah. Did you know that I was his boss?
I know.
Is everyone...
As well as feeding him dinner and breakfast.
He had a lot of patience with me. Is everyone who is supposed to be involved in the political sphere just lazier than they used to be? Because this is why. If Governor Felix Camacho or Governor Eddie Calvo had acted, or Governor Carl Gutierrez even, had acted toward the legislature and toward the media the way the current governor is acting toward the legislature and the media,
they'd be reamed. She'd be reamed.
The legislature and the media would have
a field day.
An absolute field day.
Oh.
So are your colleagues, are our colleagues, are we just lazy?
I think
What's
it's
going
the
on?
pandemic,
You know,
Troy.
Because everyone's just closed up.
Yes.
And no
I
one
think
knows
it's
what
the
to do.
pandemic.
Well, and you've really restricted the ability to have face-to-face conversations. Okay, remember
The open government law is suspended, right?
Well, to some degree.
To some degree, yeah.
Okay, it's suspended. And so, there's a lot to be said, especially when you're talking about politics, to have face-to-face conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think, no kidding.
You can hide behind your
okay. I
phone.
mean, yes, you can obviously hide behind, the
all of
phone
that.
and everything.
Everybody's hiding behind it.
And it becomes
hide
now
behind $2 million of security.
convenience. It's just the convenience of not having to be there.
Okay.
Okay, and not.
But also,
that's what it is.
if you're not face to face, you don't have to keep your word.
Yeah.
You get it?
You know what? Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna go talk to the governor, you guys are gonna have a conversation, and it's face to face. You have to feel, because it's our culture.
That's
you
a
have to
good
keep
point.
your word. But now that you can't meet face to face,
That's absent now.
yeah,
And you can use
that's what I think.
you can use technology as the excuse for not being able to answer back.
But back when Felix Camacho was the governor, he had a Republican majority for a couple of years, I think. And even during that Republican majority, they were hard on him.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, you were in the administration. Do you remember how hard Mark Forbes and Eddie Calvo were on Felix Camacho?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And when Eddie Calvo was the governor, he had a Democrat majority, but they were very hard on him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this legislature, and granted, it's the same party. But even among the Republicans, there's no unity.
You pause there.
You know, there's no what does Ray
broken.
Gibson call it? A loyal not a loyal minority, but something about like the minority that stands up for the voiceless
You know,
or something.
and I tell you, there was a conversation I had a couple nights ago with some people who says what can be done, and you know, unfortunately, a lot of times it's people that are in the power that they have, especially now, they don't care because they're elected. They, because what what are you going to do? Okay.
Gina Call makes a very good comment.
Unfortunately, I feel that way with the Attorney General. Okay, here I've knocked on his door 3 times and says, "Come on, can we move?" And why answer to Frank Blas? What's he going to do? What's the community going to do? Really, if you think about it, Troy.
We feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, if we
All
say
the time.
something like, "Well, what does it matter? No one's
Okay.
going to do anything."
Or when we do it, and then
Okay.
they just ignore us, and then 2 weeks later they do what we say, but they do not say why they're doing it. It just drives me insane. I'm like, wait a minute. Well, can I just read
Yes, of
Gina
course.
Call's comment? It says, when you are in the middle of a crisis, it is hard to change leadership for fear of more chaos as a result, even when that leader is not well liked.
And that could be true to a point, and they're right. You want, for good or for bad, to make a decision. You want that you want a person to be there, and in times of chaos and crisis, do you change out a leader at that time? Well, unless that leader gets knocked off, no, you try to make the best of that.
We'll
But
find out
that
next
said-
year. We will find out next year.
But that said, is the great thing about our democratic process is that we have that time to be able to say, okay, the culmination of things that have occurred over the last few months, last couple of years, do we change this or not? Okay, and then we live with that consequence. We live with our actions. That said, though, is going back to, again, the concern that you have, why hasn't things been done? Is if you take a look at it now, I mean, it really, for me, it was short of culture shock, of course, being out of politics and being out of, in government for 4 years, okay, and being able to see it from the outside. A lot of frustration drove me to come back in because of what was happening, and it continues to frustrate me because you sit there and you're like, wait a minute, we've got businesses that are out here that are still trying to struggle to survive. We've got families who still don't know how they can continue to put a roof over their head, how they're going to pay for the meal.
Now.
And it's more of the problem. Yeah, okay. And we need to make that the forefront, okay? It's not, okay, well, we got to do everything to keep this government alive. Remember, government stays alive. The only reason why government should stay alive or is alive is because the community needs it. It's there, all right? It's not the other way around. The community shouldn't feed into the government. The government should be able to help the community. And my frustration is for at least 3 or 4 years already, that's somehow changed the dynamics as to how government should serve the people or the other way around, all right? And so, but it's also fueled. You just not look at it locally, but also nationally. Okay, you can raise Cain, and you can, don't do this, you can't do that, mandate this, mandate that. It's against the law. I don't care. Guess what? Because I'm the leader. I'm not comfortable with that.
So, let's dial this back to the issue of money and accountability for the proper use of federal funds. As we approach next year's election, and it's not just in Guam, it's anywhere where there's going to be a gubernatorial election or any election where a leader, an incumbent, is going to be able to say, I did this and I did that. But they did that through the largesse of the federal taxpayer, of the American taxpayer, gifts to Guam. Senator, do you see the deck stacked against anybody who wants to challenge the governor? Because the governor has this carte blanche over hundreds of millions of dollars where she can essentially buy her way into re-election in a legal way. And if so, if you do see that the deck is stacked against those candidates, what is the legislature going to do to at least shine the light on all of that so that the people have a proper forum to assess things?
Well,
Or what do you hope the legislature would do?
there are a few of us that are in the legislature that really want to, hold their feet to the fire on this thing and really have the conversation as to whether or not we have to continue down the road that we're continuing. Unfortunately, there are individuals, there are more votes, who that don't want to do this and don't want to rock the boat.
Why?
It's because it's they're the part of the same party and they probably fear that as well. Okay, that if they go against the titular head of their party,
they're not going to benefit.
That they're not going to benefit. Okay, and that's sad.
That is very sad.
Obviously, with me, I've never had to toe that line. As a matter of fact, I've been, Troy,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Because I don't toe the party line on stuff. I've suffered from it. Well, suffer is another thing. Allowed to be given a break is another, and that's what I felt. More so. That said, it takes will. And the thing is, I see a lot of times the pain in some of my colleagues who have to toe the party line or toe the party line. I could see the pain in them.
You can see them fighting their conscience.
Exactly. And it may come to a point where a breaking point. It may come up to a point of time that it's going to say, okay, enough's enough. I'm not going to go down this road. I'm not going to carry this bag for you anymore.
Yeah, I think enough's enough already.
Okay, and it's been enough. Enough's been enough for quite some time.
This issue with the governor's former legal counsel, there's an entire audit that says something. The fact that nothing's been done beyond that audit and beyond that procurement oversight hearing that Senator Sabina Perez had should be quite concerning to all of us.
But also most concerning is if you got to remember that the office of the Attorney General, that's a nonpartisan position. Okay, there's no party, there's no political alignment. There should be no political alignment in it.
Well, when your best
there
friend
should be no political alignment to that. Okay. However, as you had, if there are other external circumstances, forces beyond this, address it and let's move forward on it. Okay.
How do we know that the administration didn't say, let's give it to that boy because of his affiliation with the people that are going to prosecute him? How do we know that the administration didn't do that?
Wow.
When they have their little meetings, their cab or whatever, those things in the kitchen of wherever, how do we know that the administration didn't say, okay, we want this, let's give it to him because he's connected to this, and you know what I mean?
Well, that's the way of politics for a time immemorial.
You're giving them too many sparks.
You never know.
Okay.
You never know. There's some dark people behind this administration.
Well, and if there are, you want reports and you want investigations such as that public audit to report, not to be swept under the rug, to be kept. Make sure that there's a light constantly shining on it, and you want to be able for it to so that it can move forward. Okay?
We have 15 leaders over there.
But
Why
even
are you the only one sending letters?
And I'll tell you why. I think that
Senator Moylan has as well.
Well, and I'll tell you, it's just probably because Frank Blas has got a very strong, in as far as sometimes strong-willed. That if you're gonna join me, get ready, because this is going to be a roller coaster of a ride.
Yeah.
Secondly,
We're used to that here at Kandit.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you know there have been a couple of colleagues that have said, you know, you beat me to the punch on this because I was going to send my letter too, and I'm like,
So sign here. Sign it.
Yeah.
Join in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I, and to be told, when I sent the letter, I didn't send it as as a letter from Frank Blas and others. This was okay. This is Frank Blas. There are others, and if they want to, they will. And I'm sure that if you ask them, and maybe you should.
Well, what we know here at Kandit, what works is pressure.
Okay.
So maybe this AG
Okay.
needs to get pressured.
I do want to say, because I don't want to make it seem like all I'm doing is bashing the governor, I do want to say that I think the governor's heart is in the right place when it has come to managing this public health emergency. I don't think she's done everything perfectly, and I think she's screwed up some decisions or whatever. But as far as having the interests of the public's health and safety in the forefront, I think a reasonable person would have to give that to her. But it's all this stuff that hides behind that.
And that's what those little contracts and all this money that, that's where that comes in. And
we have to be vigilant.
And you're right, because first off, I don't think there was any ill intent on the governor to be able to to do a lot of the stuff that she needed to do. I mean, first off,
she just doesn't like to be told what to do.
I agree.
Okay, she this is probably the most monumental and an event that we hope that we never in our lifetime and our grandchildren's lifetime we ever have to go through again. And so there had to be a lot of decisions and a lot of decisions that had to be made rather quickly. Could there have been better processes and better ways to do this? Yes. Okay. Troy, you and I both know there is a pandemic response plan.
Yeah.
You helped to write the plan. All right. So for them to say that we didn't have a plan to go on, we had to make it up as we went along.
Yeah, that's complete BS.
Yeah.
That is complete.
All right.
Either they never read the plan, or they just weren't prepared.
See, there's one of the things is if they did read the plan, they didn't know what they were reading, or they just didn't know the plan existed.
The federal government spends millions on us every year. So that we are ready for things.
Yes.
I mean, and you can never be 100% ready. No. That's one of the things that's made perfectly clear.
But you can be 100% prepared to be ready.
But you didn't have to pick a hotel out of a hat, is what you're trying to say,
yes,
right?
Exactly. Okay.
There should have been a list.
Yes, yes.
And it should have been written down somewhere in a file, ready
to go.
Yeah.
And it says, okay, if we need this kind of resource, we need this kind of hotel or accommodations, these are the places that we can have it. We can see, that there's a starting point. But to say that, we didn't have anything to go on.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
that's complete BS.
That's complete BS. Okay. So that said is, now we've got, obviously, and actually, Troy, I don't think this is the end of it either. I don't think that, I think that the public auditor is going to be coming up with other scathing
And this is
reports.
why, Senator, this is why I asked you about the funding and the ability for the OPA to raise his staff salaries so that he doesn't lose his auditors in the middle of these things, or as he's gearing up to, because he's been losing them to the autonomous. We've seen the reports. He's not kidding around.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for increasing his budget, because that was necessary. But I think he needs that latitude, that authority to raise the staff levels.
And going back to that, I know we kind of sidetracked from that conversation. We were in the midst of a budget that, again, first off, we're not quite sure we're going to be able to get to those numbers, and then if we get to those figures, how can we best divvy up the money? With me, it's okay. Let's deal with the needs first of what we can, how we can provide the needs. Okay, forget the wants. Okay, I want to be able to do this and this and this. That we just don't have that money.
I can tell you, Senator, cut it out of the budget from the Guam Museum, which I don't even think is open. cut it out of the budget of the judiciary, which is severely overfunded.
And they don't even do their job. Civilians have to help them.
Cut it out of the University of Guam that just thinks it can just spend our tax dollars because they're better and smarter than the rest of us. There are so many places in this government where funding can and should be cut because there are a bunch of losers who work in this government.
Well, and it goes back to there were areas that were reduced in their funding. Okay, I will tell you that as much as even the judiciary got, they didn't get everything they wanted. Okay, because we couldn't do it. Okay, and we had to be able to try to prioritize those places that were necessary, that we needed to. If it was truly up to me, yes, you're right. There would be other agencies that would have been severely cut. Just for the mere fact that right now, is it necessary for that agency to continue its operations in the midst of what we're going through right now?
Senator, I got a tip that we're following right now with the department. I did a FOIA to the Department of Parks and Rec just yesterday, and I'm waiting for the documents because I got a tip that a contract was awarded for public pool maintenance. What public pool? What public pool is filled with water right now? And what has to be maintained? I don't understand.
Was it for the Agana or for the Dededo pool?
I mean, it doesn't even matter because both of them don't have water except for the water from the rain.
Yeah.
And probably from the homeless people pissing in the pool.
Yeah. And I tell you, there are more things. We can talk about other sources of procurement. Other procurement matters that have occurred. Hiring practices that have occurred.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
In the guise of responding to this pandemic, and has got nothing to do with it. Okay.
And that's why Troy's saying she's buying the election.
And so when, but there's one thing about buying the election, and another thing about bribing the election. Okay. I'm going to continue to find those areas, not for the sake of trying to tear down, a governor. No, this is things that were not right in this government, things that should not have happened, and I can't let it happen.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll put if it means that that Frank Blas is obviously as much as people applaud or laud me for wanting to keep this to light. There are the detractors that said, aren't there other better things that you can that you can focus on?
Oh, just have my attitude. Just ignore that.
Yeah, and I do. Okay, and I do have that attitude. Is I just don't jump on things just because it's opportune.
Yep.
Okay, if you look, as a matter of fact, my letter. Actually, I thought I was going to be late. I thought I was late in being able to bring this up to the Attorney General's office because that public auditor report came out 2 weeks before I even sent the letter. Okay.
So to be clear, 1 week from today, or end of this week?
End of this week.
End of this week. If you don't get a response from the Attorney General's office, you will elevate this matter to the United States Attorney or the FBI.
Yes.
Okay, then hopefully we can hear from you after that. If we don't hear, yeah.
Are you running for governor?
Right now I'm going to run downstairs to my office and take care of my matters. Okay.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
All right.
Well, let us know. Let
know.
us know.
I have a serious question that's more important.
Oh.
Can you invite us to your house when Grandma Tilly puts up the Christmas tree?
You know what? I knew you were going to. Yes, you are going to be.
No, but can we video for the people
to
see the Christmas trees?
Yeah.
Because it's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Have you ever been?
Never.
Yes. The whole North Pole is set up at their house, and it's not even like a big house or anything.
No.
But it's just completely filled with trees.
You got to remember, it's just Auntie Tilly, my sister-in-law and I. That's it. A nice, simple, quaint little house, but God. Yeah, the one question you're going to ask is, where do you put all this stuff afterwards?
Cool. I'm excited.
But yeah, you're going to be invited. You know,
Oh, now you're running for governor?
You're going to be invited to the house for okay.
I just, Gina
Okay.
Call is the one asking.
Understood.
that. Yeah,
Understood.
and so
I
am I.
think that I'm going to focus and concentrate on the work that needs to get done first.
Oh,
Okay.
before you go, do you think that, can we ask you if you could do something, because a bunch of our viewers have been sending us information. We don't know what to do with it, so we've just been telling them to go report it to the police department if they believe that a crime has been committed. But we've been getting messages about people who've been receiving their All Rise checks. I guess they didn't opt for the direct deposit or whatever, or maybe they did opt for direct deposit.
No,
I don't know.
they opted for the check. They're
The
going
check.
into Bank Guam.
To a bank. They're going into a bank, but they won't.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They're going to a
on
bank
Guam.
on Guam,
And
and they're taking their checks because they owe a loan or they owe.
The
they
bank
have,
is garnishing the check, but they're
Is
not.
that normal?
They're not
Is
given
that-
the option, as in they take the check, and then they tell them.
Oh yeah, they do that, bro.
Is it more than one bank? Is it more than one?
No,
bank?
it's just that bank.
It's just one bank.
It was a bank on Guam.
A bank on Guam.
Still a river.
Is that something that you guys at the legislature could take a look? Because we've just been saying, just go file a theft report to the police department, because that, I don't know, it just doesn't sound
right.
right. But I don't know, maybe they signed an agreement with the bank. I have no idea.
You know, it sounds very similar to a procurement check, a check, for services that is drawn out by a bank, but then garnished as it's drawn because of a loan that's owed.
Yeah, another, maybe when you sign a loan, maybe in the fine print it says that they're able to do that. I have no idea, but it just.
There's something that just does not feel
I think
right
at
about
Community
that.
First, and at Community First, like, you are always asked whatever it is, like, is this for deposit here or there? Are you going to take any money out?
Yeah.
Whatever, like nothing, and you have to actually sign things at every step of the way. That just sounds weird to me, that
Yes.
they would take your money without, and not give you an option of what to do with it. It just sounds weird.
Especially guys, just
No.
get out of that bank.
Whatever bank that is, that we.
On Guam.
It's on Guam.
Yeah, I would tell you to go to Community First, but I really love my bank that I don't really wait in
You don't-
line. Yeah,
you don't
just
want it
like
to be
my
over-
hair,
You-
just like my lashes. I'd rather not tell everybody.
This is beginning to become funny.
It's very fun here.
Yeah,
at
no,
Kandit.
I think, let me look into the matter.
Yeah, could you,
thanks.
if you don't mind?
Yes.
Sorry, I know you're really busy, but
Yeah, it's just
we don't know where to. We just tell them to go
that
file a
doesn't
police
there has
report.
to be some federal regulation on that.
I wouldn't know how to answer that, man. I have to look into the matter.
Okay, so
Okay.
Christmas at Papa Frank and Auntie Tilly's, right?
Yes. He's
Right.
going to run downstairs to his office.
Yeah, to do more work
To
for
do
the
more
people
work
of
for
Guam.
The bank thing
Yeah.
on Guam.
Right.
And by the end of the week,
See, let me ask you something. You ever notice that every time there's a COVID death, it says, that there was an underlying medical condition?
Yeah.
yes, I think every time except one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's never a discussion on what those underlying medical conditions are.
I thought I saw a report that said most of it is diabetes.
Well, don't you think that it would probably help in being able to reduce the severity of how COVID is affecting this community if there was the identification? These are the common underlying conditions, for those individuals, and if there was an effort to be able to reduce those numbers and ask people to reduce those numbers, so that
I think the administration would be doing all of us a favor if they provided more information all around, and they were less officious about how that information is relayed. And I think that last news conference that the governor did just was so much better than most of her other news conferences, because it was less officious and it was just filled with information. I thought that last video that Dr. Berg did a favor to the community, and the one that Dr. Cruz did a favor, because it just provided information that was easy to understand. Yes, I think the more information they provide, the better.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. I would absolutely agree with that.
I'm working on that too. So, yeah. So I have to run downstairs.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'm going to run away to run downstairs.
Thank you, Papa Frank.
Thank
very
you.
much
All
appreciate
right,
your
guys.
time today.
Hey.
For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Rosario.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi, my name is Eddie Santos. I'm a retired Army Sergeant with more than 23 years, and I am a disabled vet. I've been all over the place trying to get assistance for my disability. And as for right now, the only person that seemed to help me out was when I went to the congressman's office, tried to get some assistance for him to help me get my prosthetic leg fixed. So finally the congressman had me the opportunity to go to Palo Alto in San Jose, California, where they finally fixed my prosthetic. If you need help and you seem to not get it anywhere, you should go see our congressman with the people he has there to help us veterans get what we need and what we deserve for doing our time in service for the freedom of our island and for our country.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.